Okay, sorry. I was making faces at myself while I was waiting for it to go live. Good morning, beloveds. It's Monday morning. It's also Labor Day. I will be laboring, but I will be laboring in my house, not at work. Although my partner is going to work. So, we are going to finish up part 5 of the Science of Mind text, which was teachings from the Bible, effectively. I think that's what it was. We've been in this part for a while. I'm looking. Yeah, teachings from the New Testament. Or Reverend Norm would say teachings from the Christian Testament. So, we are in the section called Other Teachings from the Christian Testament. Well, he calls it New Testament. You know my feelings on this. Or if you don't know my feelings on it, well, Reverend Norm says it's disrespectful to call it the New Testament and the Old Testament. He says we should call it the Hebrew Bible and the Christian Testament. So, and I agree with him. So, let's see. We are on 501. And we are doing Confessions of Mistakes from James 5:16. James tells us to confess our faults. This thought suggests one of the great psychological truths of the inner nature. Psychoanalysis, which is the analysis of the soul or subjective mind, is a scientific method for the erasure of false beliefs. It is often forgiveness of sins done in a scientific manner. I've never heard it stated that way. That is very interesting. Okay. Our minds are burdened with many things, often our religions, which should automatically balance our mentalities, suppress them, and create morbidness on the subject side of thought. Okay. This happens when we feel condemned for our mistakes. The Bible tells us that God will blot out these mistakes and remember them no more against us forever. This is a complete removal and erasure of all mistakes. How could it be different? God is a pure eye and perfect mind. God is perfect spirit. When we enter this spirit and bear our souls to its great light, we loose our troubles and are healed. The confession of sins or mistakes helps us let go of troubles and to feel that the universe holds nothing against us. Sin means making mistakes, and while we continue to make them, we continue to perpetuate their dire results. We should come daily to the Spirit of goodness for a complete washing away of all mistakes, fears, and troubles. The person who feels that their mistakes can be blotted out is in a better psychological position than the one who thinks God will not forgive. We should learn to let go of our mistakes and remember them no longer against ourselves. Nothing is gained by holding to past errors. The best thing to do is to let go of and forget them altogether. It is scientific to consciously let go of all of our troubles. It is most unwise to hold them. Some will say that it is right that we should suffer for our past errors. It is right that we should suffer. We already have done so and will continue to do so until we pay the last farthing. But the last farthing is paid when we let go and trust in the law of good. That, by the way, my friends, is all in caps. It is impossible for a sane person to believe that God delights in condemning or damning anyone. God is natural goodness and eternal loving kindness and holds nothing against anyone. We suffer so long that we make mistakes, as we make mistakes. Sorry, I lost my place. We are healed when we come to the Spirit for that cleansing which takes away the mistakes of the world, converting them into great lessons, ever pointing the way to truth and beauty, to life, health, happiness, and success. It is scientific for one to consciously let go of their troubles and errors, feeling that they no longer affect them. They have learned the lesson that false ideas do not pay and are willing and glad to turn from all that hurts to the great light. And the Spirit, because of its nature of wholeness, is ever ready to take them in its embrace and make them whole again. All right, so let's talk about this for a minute, because I was raised Catholic. And one of the things that I hated the most in the Catholic tradition was confession. Okay? So Ernest and I might have a slightly different take on confession. Now, here's where I'm going to agree with Ernest. When we confess our sins, and we make amends to the people that we have hurt, and we change our behavior, then we can let go of our mistakes. We don't need to keep punishing ourselves for the mistakes that we have made. Okay. What I hated about, there were two things that I hated about confession. One, I had to go every Sunday, I think, or you're supposed to go every time you go you're supposed to go to confession before you go to communion. Because you can't go to communion unless you have a clean soul, and you can't have a clean soul unless you confess your sins. Well, the problem is I was a child. What sins was I committing? You know? I'm not known for lying. I'm not known for, any of that. So, like, I felt pressured to make up stuff to go to confession for, which is a sin in and of itself, at least in my opinion. So that was part of what I hated about confession. I didn't feel I needed to go because most of what I didn't feel like I was sinning. Do I make mistakes? Yes. Do I feel like I need to confess them to a priest? No. And that may be part of the thing there, because that was putting somebody between me and God. Like, I can confess my sins directly to God. Also to the people who I have made mistakes against, who I've made mistakes against. The other thing I always hated about confession is the idea that you could do whatever you wanted and go and confess and be absolved. I did have a conversation with somebody who is still Catholic about that, because I absolutely, in the Middle Ages, they sold indulgences where it was basically a get out of jail free card. You could do whatever you want. As long as you spent the money on the indulgence, then your soul was wiped clean and you could go to heaven. And I'm like, that's not the way this works. And Science of Mind is definitely against that. You heard him say, look, you need to do this. Because your soul's not wiped clean unless you actually change your behavior. Except for the fact that you've already heard me argue that we can't do anything to the soul. Because it's not ours. And Jesse said that on Sunday, we cannot violate our own divine nature. We cannot violate the soul because it's God's soul. So those are my things. Yeah, but I've never heard it termed the way he termed it right there in the beginning of this. Our mind, no. A scientific measure for the erasure of false beliefs. Psychoanalysis. Okay, so yeah, because we go to therapists, we talk about stuff, and the therapist points out to us why that's crazy to believe. Why we don't need to believe that anymore. And it is an excellent way of pulling up all of the volunteers, all of the seeds that other people have planted in our garden that do not serve us and we do not need. So I thought that was interesting. The erasure of false beliefs, confessing, because until we are ready to change our behavior, we are going to keep making the same mistakes. And, the definition of crazy is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Okay. So this is the last section. Now we are the children of God. 1 John 3, 1 through 4. The world does not know the child of God. Material sense cannot recognize the spiritual. Spiritual things must be spiritually understood. God's love is complete in us, in that we are God's children, the children of freedom and not of bondage. Now we are the children of God, not in the hereafter, but in the now. Are we just what we are and what we must be because of our true natures? Now we are the children of God. The birth of the soul into the light of spirit is an awakening to the realization that God has been with us all of the time. Now we are the children of God. Today is the day of complete salvation, not tomorrow or the day after, but now. It does not now completely appear what we really are, but now we see only in part. But when God shall appear, we shall recognize God, for we shall see God in God's true light. This Spirit means ourselves, the Christ in us, our hope and assurance of eternal glory. We shall be like Spirit. We shall be like Christ. We shall be like Spirit. We have inwardly been like Christ all the time, but when Christ shall appear, we shall see Christ as Christ is. That is, we shall know, even as we also are known, we shall know ourselves. We shall see Christ as Christ is, not as Christ now appears, for Christ is hidden in the innermost recesses of our nature. We shall see Christ with the spiritual eye that dims not, with a clear sight that penetrates all suppositional opposites and announces the ever-present reality. We shall see ourselves as we really are, forever held in the bosom of the universe, the children of God. Who doth right is right, even as Christ is right. This again reveals us to ourselves. This is the great revelation, the revelation of the self to the self. But before this can take place, we must have consciously come into our birthright. We must have returned to the Spirit's house. This return is a conscious act on our part. When we do right, we are right. And when we are right, we are like Christ. For then we shall see Christ. This refers to the Christ indwelling every soul. The child of God in all its beauty and strength. Even if our hearts condemn us, we know that the Spirit which gave the heart is greater than its gift. God is greater than all human mistakes, and in God alone there is peace and happiness. God is natural goodness and eternal loving kindness. Who is born of love is born of God, for God is love. Without love, nothing can be accomplished. With love, all things are possible. And when we love, our prayers are answered and the gift of heaven is made. The gift of heaven is life and not death, love and not hate, peace and not confusion. And we enter into this paradise through the gateway of love towards one another and toward God. Love is greater than all else and covers a multitude of mistakes. Love overcomes everything and neutralizes all that is unlike itself. Love is God. And that ends part 5. The children of God. And one of the drum beats, absolutely one of the drum beats of Science of Mind is consciousness, consciousness, consciousness. When we, and it's one of the things that I like to say on Sunday when I do the closing prayer. I invite you to consciously enter into the sacred with me, because it's all sacred all the time. but frequently we are not conscious of it. So all it takes is that moment to flip from that unconscious to conscious and look around and go, oh yeah, it's all conscious. And now what are we going to do about it? And how should we move differently? And this, that, and the other thing. And so that it's super important, that we are conscious. That is what he said. That is salvation. To consciously acknowledge the reality of the Christ consciousness within us. That passage right there is why, when I talk about the Christ consciousness being factory installed software, and I say to access this software, because it's factory installed, you come pre-installed with Christ consciousness. The password is love. He just made my argument for me. Or maybe that's where I got it from. The password is love. In all things, if we lead with love, we're almost always going to make the we're going to make the right choice. If we lead with love, we are almost always going to make the right choice. I would like to say always, but sometimes, simply because, and I like that he uses the word loving kindness. That's one of the things that I like from, the Eastern meditation or the Eastern, philosophies is the idea of loving kindness. And there's a difference between nice and kind, because kind can be the hard road. Nice may not be. Nice is a veneer, whereas kind is deep. And so loving kindness is willing to make the hard choices and do the hard thing. And it's much more subjective because love can be very objective and can be very egocentric. Whereas when we practice loving kindness, we recognize that the subject of our love have their own thoughts and feelings and agendas, and we acknowledge that. And again, it comes back to consciousness. It comes back to consciousness. If you learn anything in New Thought, all spirituality should be practiced consciously and daily. All right. So that is it. We have wrapped up. So, what we move into next is part 6, which is the meditations. And I'm not sure what this is going to look like. It might be a situation of where I just get on and read one of them and that's it. No commentary, no nothing. Just let me do the meditation. But we'll find out tomorrow, right? We'll get started tomorrow. So, there we go. Spiritual practice. Okay. So here's where I'm going to do just the quick housekeeping where I'm going to remind you that an easy way to support the center is to, hang on. An easy way to support the center is to engage with our social media, which if you're watching this on either Facebook or YouTube, you're engaging with the social media. So we are Creative Life Spiritual Center, Creative Life Spark. I'm the running Rev Ryan on the social medias that I am on. So go like, subscribe, share, follow, comment, follow. Did I say follow? I don't know what the difference between liking a page and following a page and subscribing to a page is, but whatever options you have, please take them. We are providing tools to help you get the most out of your life. That's it. We don't teach you what to believe. We just teach you how. That's one of our mottos. So, please take that for what it's worth. All right. We try and keep it light, bright, happy, illuminating, helpful. That is our goal. All right. And then if you want more information about the center, please email info@creativelife.org. That will get you on the constant contact. On the constant contact, nobody sees your email and the hot links are hot. If it says click here now, it'll take you right to the information you want or the person that can help you get it. The other thing is our website is creativelife.org. I mean, it can't get any easier than that. Creativelife.org. That is who we are. So, Now, I'm going to encourage you to have a great day, a wondrous day, a fantastic day, a magical day, an enchanted day, a wonderful day, an awesome day, an amazing day, a fantastic day. I may have already said that. A not Labor Day, because it is Labor Day, so don't labor today if you don't have to. But if you do, please do it with your utmost consciousness day. Take care of what you need to today. Take a nap day, cuddle your fur babies day, call a friend day, get ready for the week day, because, you know, unless you did it yesterday, a take care of business day, a take care of whatever you need to do day, you got this day, a good day, and if that is too much pressure, simply have a day. You are enough just as you are. You are a beloved expression of the divine. You are spirit in motion. You are God in action. You are a brilliant light, a divine spark, or as Reverend Jesse likes to call us, you are a godling. All right? Explore the truth of your being. That is the whole purpose of New Thought, really, honestly, is to explore who you are and get to know who the divine knows you to be. Because the one promise I can make you, and it is the only promise I can make you, the person that the divine knows you to be is good. And from there, all things are possible. All right, beloveds, Reverend David will be on around 5 p.m. with you. I will be back with you around 9 a.m. Take care of yourself. Know that you are loved, and I will see you next time.